Good afternoon. My name is Elder Shananiah Ben Israel, and I'm your guest / host for Voices of Our Fathers, where what we have is today's comprehension of our forefathers yesterday. Today, our three topics are going to be understanding Paul, the Sabbath, and the Old Testament and the New Testament. And today our guest / host also is Elder Aharon Ben Israel.
Shalom. My name is Elder Aharon Ben Israel. Shalom, brother.
Shalom. How you doing today?
Told.
Today we have quite a few interesting subjects here, and we're going to present these subjects to you basically because we have an awful lot of misunderstanding concerning a lot of the issues concerning Paul and a lot of issues concerning the Sabbath, and a great misnomer of information concerning the Old Testament and the New Testament. So, Elder, what do you have to offer us today, Elder?
First of all, let's talk about the Sabbath.
Okay.
How many Sabbath days are there?
One.
Well, why can't you tell the rest of the world that there's only one? There are people that think that the Sabbath day is on a Friday.
That's true.
Huh? There are those that say that the Sabbath day is on a Sunday.
Absolutely.
But we like to look and see what the Father say the Sabbath day is. But first of all, let's read something.
Okay.
Let's turn to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And the reason we want to go here is because it's the law.
Okay. Absolutely.
And most people don't understand what the law is all about in the first place.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why we're going to get into that.
That's right. But this is a key thing.
Yes, it is.
About the law.
Okay.
When you turn to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, notice, let's start at verse 1.
Okay.
It says, "And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, the feast of Yahweh." Now, have you ever thought about that? It says the feast.
Okay.
But as we keep reading, something interesting here.
Okay.
It says, "Which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. These are my feasts."
Okay.
Whose feast? Yahweh's feast.
Absolutely.
And the first feast that he lists is what? It's entitled the Sabbath.
Absolutely.
Or the Shabbat.
Okay.
It says, 6 days work shall be done, but the seventh day, what is the seventh day of the week?
That's a Saturday.
Correct.
Absolutely. And this is a weekly thing here, Elder.
Correct.
Is that correct?
As not only is it a weekly thing, but it's also a feast.
Absolutely.
And we're going to read something in the pseudepigrapha, which most people don't have any knowledge of, and which we'll find out today something that they really had no knowledge of.
Okay.
But let's continue to read this.
Okay.
It says, 6 days work shall be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of solemn rest. Why is it a rest? Because the Father said so.
Absolutely. And also because I believe that the Father rested on that day.
Correct.
But did that rest have anything to do with
Him being tired?
the Father being tired, or did that have to do with something else?
Cease. That's what the word should be. He ceased, meaning he stopped. It was all completed, finished.
So it was not a question of whether the Father got tired or not.
That's right.
It was simply a question of the fact that, well, not so much a question, but the fact that he simply stopped, or he ceased, as you say, he ceased from working.
That's it. it says, you shall do no work on it.
Mm-hmm.
It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings. So that means that wherever you live,
Mm-hmm.
it's supposed to be a Sabbath.
Absolutely.
But let's read something here.
Mm-hmm.
This is taken from the book of Jubilees.
Okay.
The book of Jubilees comes in the Pseudepigrapha, volume 2. It says the Old Testament, but we're going to get into that a little bit later.
Okay. All
About old and new.
right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is book of Jubilees,
Mm-hmm.
chapter 2, starting at verse 17.
Okay.
It says the significance
Mm-hmm.
of the Sabbath.
Okay.
When you hear that, that's a powerful word.
The significance.
That's right. It means that it has a great meaning. So let's read.
Okay.
And he gave us a great sign. The us that's being talked about here is the heavenly host.
Okay.
Because if you understand
Mm-hmm.
that the Shabbat was not only instituted on earth, it was also instituted in the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
And it said, and he gave us a great sign, the Sabbath day.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sabbath day is also a sign.
Oh, sign.
That's right.
Okay.
So that we might work 6 days and observe a 7th day,
Mm-hmm.
a Sabbath, from all work on the 7th day.
Okay.
And he told us, all of the angels of the presence
Mhm.
and all of the angels of sanctification,
Mm-hmm.
these two great kinds. Notice I said angels because this is in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? But we don't hear things like this. The Sabbath is not talked about like that.
Okay.
So let's go a little bit further here. It says that we might keep the Sabbath with him in heaven and on earth.
Hmm.
But we know that it was also on earth because when he gave Moshe what we call the 10 Commandments,
Mhm.
let's turn to Exodus, the 20th chapter.
All right. That sounds interesting. Exodus 20. Looks like the 4th commandment here.
That's
huh?
right.
Okay.
And it says, no, not the 4th. It is,
It's the 4th of the
no, it's the 8th.
8th commandment?
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, it's really verse 8
Mm-hmm. All right.
of
it's
chapter 20.
Okay. But it's the 4th
Right,
commandment.
it's the 4th commandment,
Absolutely.
correct.
Mhm.
It says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Mhm.
6 days you shall labor and do all your work.
Okay.
But the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh your El. Now remember, it's been saying that this is Yahweh's Sabbath.
Absolutely. The Father's Sabbath.
That's right. So where did it get to be Moshe's Sabbath? Other than Moshe was to observe it.
Absolutely.
He was the mediator of it
Okay.
when it was given to
Okay.
man.
Okay.
Or not to man, but to the children of Israel.
Absolutely.
Hey, again, we're going to find
That's right.
out something a little bit
That's right.
more about this.
That's right.
But let's continue to read. It says, in it you shall do no work,
Uh-huh.
nor your sons, nor your daughters, nor your male servants, nor your female servants, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Therefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Again, let's go back to the book of Jubilees.
Now, Elder, I got a question here, though.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the same Sabbath that we're supposed to be observing today?
Correct.
Okay, now, is this from, this is 4th commandment here. And I count 10. Are these the same 10 commandments that we're supposed to be following today?
Correct.
Okay. So, if we adhere to the exact same commandments, 10,
Correct.
that the Father established with the children of Israel in Sinai, then the question is, has this changed?
No, it hasn't.
Okay. So if it has not changed, then we would be hard-pressed to say that the Sabbath has changed.
That's right.
So it has to be the same.
That's correct.
So we're still looking, it looks like, at that seventh day.
Yes, we are.
Because it says, like you said, verse 8, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy.
That's
then
right.
It says 9, 6 days.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Just confuse that for a minute.
But listen here.
Okay.
It says, behold, I shall separate for myself a people. That sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Now, Elder, let me ask you this question. The Father is saying, behold, I will separate myself for a people.
I will
Correct?
separate myself a people.
Okay, all right. Now, can you give me a time frame on that statement that you just read?
From the beginning. This was stated in the heavens before.
Huh.
Huh?
That's very interesting, because I would love for the viewing audience to keep that in mind,
That's right.
because we're going to touch on something a little later.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that you were going to present that.
Oh.
But since you did,
Yeah.
you know, it hit on something that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
And I wanted to mention, just so the viewing audience could see whereas
Yes.
that information that you're reading
Yes.
was originally a part of our scripture.
Sure.
And I'm going to show them how it was
Yes.
and when it was, and they're going to see something that maybe they've never realized before.
Sure. Not only that, when you understand a jubilee, what is a jubilee? It's a period of time. 7 years times 7, 49 years is a jubilee.
Okay.
And it speaks about a jubilee in our Bibles.
Absolutely.
But no one cares to go into what a jubilee is.
Absolutely. That's
But-
absolutely true.
Let's continue to read this.
Okay.
It says, behold, I shall separate for myself a people from among all the nations,
Very interesting.
Huh?
Very interesting.
and they will also keep the Sabbath. Who is this people that he's talking about? Let's continue to read.
Okay, good.
It says, and I will sanctify them for myself, and I will bless them, just as I have sanctified and shall sanctify the Sabbath day for myself. Thus shall I bless them. And they will be my people, and I will be their El. And I have chosen the seed of Jacob. Who was Jacob? The one whose name was changed to Israel. Huh?
That has a lot to do with something that, another subject that we're going to talk about. Something that Shaul, or Paul,
That's
in the
right.
audience, something that he mentioned, and I believe it's in the 11th chapter of Romans.
Yeah? Okay. It says, Jacob, from among all that I have seen, and I have recorded him as my firstborn son, and have sanctified him for myself forever and ever. Notice what he says, forever and ever.
So Israel is Yah's firstborn son.
That's right. That's what
Okay.
it says.
Okay, and Yeshua would be his first begotten son.
That's right.
Okay, all right, forever.
That's right.
So
And
I guess that somewhat eliminates the notion that the Father has completely rejected
That's
Israel and has now placed Israel and everyone else on square one, on the same square.
oh, no.
Okay.
No.
I see.
And I will make known to them the Sabbath day.
Okay.
so that they might observe therein a Sabbath from all their work. Huh? But
Okay.
let's go over. Let's skip down
Okay.
to verse 25. Chapter 2, Book of Jubilees, verse 25. It says, he created heaven and earth and everything which he created in 6 days. And Yahweh made the seventh day holy for all his work. Therefore he commanded concerning it, let everyone who will do any work therein die. Powerful statement.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely, Elder.
Now, you got to remember that this was stated before it was given to the children of Israel. When what we're reading here is beforehand. You got to look at that. And then it says, and also whoever defiles it, let him surely die. Huh? So you talk about the grace that you have. Do you understand what's being stated to you? Huh? Do you really understand? Do you understand why the children of Israel are not in the land that they're supposed to be in? That we're still in captivity.
And scattered throughout the four corners of the earth.
That's right.
I see.
Really, basically, for doing what? Violating the Shabbat, the Sabbath.
Absolutely.
Huh? Then it says, and you command the children of Israel, and let them guard this day, so that they might sanctify it, and not do any work therein, and not defile it, because it is more holy than any day. So how could it be that everybody got a different Sabbath if they claim to follow the Creator of heaven and earth?
They won't have their own agenda.
But it's not open to discussion here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
Didn't he say the fourth commandment, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy?
Absolutely.
Then he's telling you here why you must keep it. It is the law, instruction, huh? Things that you must follow.
You know something that I think, Elder, is very true, because the Father tells us, or the Bible tells us this. Often you hear people talk, and they say things like, for example, a term that they use very loosely is interpretation. Now, we always hear an individual say, well, that's your interpretation, or there are many different interpretations. But what does the Bible say about interpretations, though? I believe it says something about that there is no private interpretation of Scripture.
There is none.
For only Scripture can interpret Scripture.
That's right.
For we cannot interpret Scripture.
If you doubt what I'm saying, see, you must understand that what we have here is edited.
Absolutely.
And when I say edited, I mean selective portions.
Absolutely.
Have been put in and taken out.
That's why it's called revised.
That's right.
And it's been revised thousands of times.
Right. So when we're not adding anything. Notice that everything that I've read corresponds to everything that's being put down here.
Absolutely.
So it must follow.
Absolutely.
Just because you don't know, that means that you haven't done what Timothy told you to do. So that means if you're not doing, well, we know that you're not going to do what Timothy told you to do, because you're not doing what Yahshua told you to do. Huh?
That's right. That's
so,
right. That's right.
So let's
That's right. That's right.
let's continue here.
Okay.
Skipping down to 29, it says, make known and recount to the children of Israel the judgment of the day that they should keep the Sabbath thereon, and not forsake it in the error of their hearts. Now, that's a powerful statement.
Okay.
Because that leads us to know that tradition slipped in somewhere.
Huh.
See, the Father knew that. What did he say?
That's such a bad word.
Huh?
Tradition is such
Right.
a bad word.
But what did he say? And not forsake it in the error of their heart. Because if you notice, they take tradition to heart.
Oh, absolutely.
Huh? And
Absolutely.
it's a grievous error.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you got grace.
Absolutely.
Huh? But you don't understand what grace is all about. You think that gives you carte blanche to do what you want to do.
Absolutely.
And you can't. It has nothing to do with that. Huh? But let's continue to read on.
Okay.
It says, and make known that it is not permitted to do work thereon, which is unlawful. It being unseemly to do their pleasure thereon. And make known that they should not prepare thereon anything which will be eaten or drink, which they have not prepared for themselves on the 6th day.
Okay.
Now, we know that when the Father led us through the wilderness, he would do what? Tell us to gather on the 6th day for the Sabbath.
Absolutely.
Huh? And that's what we would do.
Absolutely.
It's the same principle. The Father's consistent, but we're not, because we're in error. We're following things of man instead of things of the Father. Now, I have many people that say, well, that's the Jewish Sabbath day. But have we read anywhere other than what it says? Huh?
I'll say.
You must become part of the, once you begin to deal with what the Father say, you become part of the Commonwealth of Israel.
Absolutely. So what you're saying, Elder, is this 10 Commandments that
Yes.
we've always had, in being the same 10 Commandments that Yah gave to Israel,
That's right.
this was one group of laws that were not so much classified, but they were for all mankind,
That's right.
given to a nation of people that was to be given to all other nations of people.
That's right.
So there is no Jewish Sabbath and no
No.
Christian Sabbath. There is only one Sabbath.
Right. Remember what I read here in Exodus 20. It says, in it you shall do no work, nor your sons, nor your daughters, nor your male servants, nor your female servants, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gate.
So nothing that is yours, nothing
That's
that
right.
is attached to you at all,
That's right. That includes everything. Huh?
including the stranger
That's right.
who does not know Yah, who has come into your
That's
commonwealth.
right. That's
Okay.
right. You
All right.
cannot compel them to do anything.
Absolutely.
They must rest just as you are.
Absolutely. So we see, Elder, bottom line here, that the Shabbat, or Sabbath,
Yeah.
is established on the principle of ceasing to work.
That's right.
So that basically is the general overall application of the Sabbath.
That's right.
Work.
That's right. Servile work. No
Okay.
work.
All right.
To rest, to cease from work. Huh? Didn't Yahshua say, huh, that the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath?
Absolutely. And that's, I believe, Elder, correct me if I'm wrong, that is for those who would take the law and allow the law to eat them up, so to
Yeah.
speak,
Yes.
and not know exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and allow it to become a burden.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Because the law is not a burden in itself.
Absolutely.
Instruction.
Absolutely.
All you have to do is follow.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Okay.
But let's let's continue to read here for a little bit. And they shall not bring in or take out from the house to house on that day, because it is more holy and it's more blessed than any day of the Jubilees of Jubilees. On this day we keep the Sabbath in heaven before it was made known to any human to keep the Sabbath there upon the earth. See, I wanted to read that to let you know that this was ahead of... See, people seem to think that when Moshe got the Sabbath, that this was, you know, but they forget what it said. It said for you to make a pattern of what you see in the heavens, you make the pattern on earth. So this was part of the pattern, the Sabbath. This is why the Father expressed it to you, because it was already given. It was already being done. See? But they don't get that. They don't understand. This is the Father's Day. You got to honor the Father.
And this is Father's Day.
Huh? Oh, yeah, right. Okay. Right. All right, bro.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay, but let's talk a little bit more about this Sabbath.
Okay.
I was reading something about a favorite fellow of yours, who we know as Shaul.
Shaul.
Yeah. Who the rest of the world knows as Paul. But as I was reading, I noticed that he kept the Sabbath. Huh?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeshua kept the Sabbath.
Disciples kept the Sabbath.
Everybody kept the Sabbath.
Everybody.
Why don't we keep the Sabbath?
Well, Christians do keep the Sabbath.
No.
They just kind of, you know, keep it on the day that they think is the Sabbath.
How can you? You got a calendar. The calendar says
The first day of the week.
All right. Oh, I know. They say Yeshua or Jesus rose.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
On Sunday. But we know better than that.
And they call it the Lord's Day. That's right, Lord's Day? Yeah, Lord's Day.
Why? Can you explain that to me? Why? Show me in this book that he rose on a Sunday. Can you show it to me, bro?
I believe that they key in on that on the first day, early on the first day of the week when the sisters, Mary and etc., came to Yeshua's tomb, and I believe that maybe it had something to do with the fact that when they came there, and it mentions they came there just before the breaking of day, that he had resurrected, he had risen, and for some reason I'm getting that they believe that he had just recently, within hours or whatever, had recently resurrected before they got there. But what I think what they're missing is actually they're not looking at the fact that Yeshua had been gone for quite some time when they chose to come to the tomb that morning. Yeshua had been gone for almost 12 hours.
Okay, but that's interesting because when we read it, it says dawning toward the next day. Well,
The first day.
we understand that the way that time was reckoned in those days was from evening to evening.
Okay.
So that if dawning toward the next day means what I found it to be, that means that the next day was coming in, so that it was still evening. It was dawning toward the next day, meaning to go into the next day. It didn't mean that the sun was coming up. Huh? It meant that the sun was going down, because the Shabbat was over. And as they were going, or it was dawning toward the next day, it was going into the next day, into the first day, so that the Shabbat was over and he had already risen. Do you follow what I'm saying? It wasn't that the sun was going down. See, words, as we've talked about, words that they insert will make you think one thing when in actuality it's something else.
I think in that particular passage, it's for more focusing on the fact that when the women were coming to the tomb, and it keys in on when they came. But when they came late, because he had already
that's right, he was gone. He was gone.
And that's when you have the different stories.
Right. That's that's all I was getting.
Different views of
what it was doing.
Of what actually happened when they reached the tomb. Because if you read in the four Gospels, well, actually, it's not covered by all four, but it's covered by actually three of them. But when you read the three accounts of what happened when they reached the tomb, you will find that there are three basically different renditions of what happened when they got there. So I mean,
but he was already gone.
Absolutely.
So that Sunday morning, that's out. So the Sabbath day, he didn't change the Sabbath day. This is what we're getting at.
Absolutely.
He didn't.
Bottom line is that the fourth commandment never changed.
No, it didn't.
It's the same.
That's
then
right.
as it is now. It's the same now as it was then.
Right.
So it's still the same. We're still looking at the seventh day.
That's right. That's what we're looking at here. I want to read a little something here. Acts the 14th chapter.
Acts 14. Rush over to the right side of the book here.
Yeah. Oh, the New Testament.
New Testament. New Testament. Oh.
Yeah.
Now that's interesting.
Yes. It says, now it happened in Iconium that they were gathered together, gathered to the synagogue of it's Israelites, but your Bibles might say Jews.
Mine says Jews.
Okay. And so spoke that a great multitude, both of the Jews and of the Greeks, believed. But the unbelieving Jews stirred up the Gentiles and poisoned their minds against the brethren. Therefore, they stayed there a long time, speaking boldly in the Master, who was bearing witness to the word of his grace, granting signs and wonders to be done by their hand. But the multitude of the city was divided, part side with the Jews and part with the apostles. And when a violent attempt was made by both the Gentiles and the Jews with their rulers to abuse and stone them, they became aware of it and fled to Lystra and Derbe, cities of Lycaonia, and to the surrounding regions, and they were preaching the gospel there. Now, we're talking about Paul and Barnabas here.
Okay.
Shaul, who
Shaul.
we know, that's right, who we know him to be.
Shaul. Okay.
Let's continue to read.
Well.
And in Lystra, a certain man without strength in his feet was sitting, a cripple, from his mother's womb, who had never walked. This man heard Paul speaking. Paul, observing him intently and seeing that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, "Stand up straight on your feet." And he leaped and walked. Now when the people saw what Paul had done, they raised their voice, saying in the Lycaonian language, "The gods have come down to us in the likeness of men." And Barnabas they call Zeus, and Paul Hermes, because he was the chief speaker. Then the priest of Zeus, whose temple was in front of their city, brought ox and garland to the gates, intending to sacrifice with the multitude. Now, these men were among pagans.
Okay.
These pagans knew nothing about the Father's law,
Absolutely.
as we've often talked about. But we know that there were Israelites there, in the presence.
Okay.
Let's keep going. But when the apostles, Barnabas and Paul, heard this, they tore their clothes and ran in among the multitudes, crying out and saying, "Men, why are you doing these things? We also are men with the same nature as you, and preach to you that you should turn from these useless things to the living Elohim, who made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all things that are in them, who in bygone generations allowed all nations to walk in their own ways. Nevertheless, he did not leave himself without witnesses, in that he did good, gave us rain from heaven, fruitful seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness. And with these sayings, they could scarcely restrain the multitude from sacrificing to them." Now, we said that these people thought that Paul and Barnabas was gods. Why? Why did they think that? Because Paul told a man to get up and walk, because the man had faith, he had belief. So that faith didn't just jump in on the scene. But let's keep reading. It says, "Then the Jews from Antioch and Iconium came there, and having persuaded the multitude, they stoned Paul and dragged him out of the city, supposing him to be dead." Now, I bet you a whole lot of people didn't know that Paul was stoned almost to death. Because you never hear them talk about this. And then it says, "However, when the disciples gathered around him, he rose up and went into the city, and the next day he departed with Barnabas to Durban." Then it says, "And when they had preached the gospel to that city and made many disciples, they returned to Lystra, Iconium, and Antioch," your favorite city, "strengthening the souls of the disciples, exhorting them to continue in the faith, and saying, we must, through many tribulations, enter the kingdom of Elohim." So when they had appointed elders in every church and preached with fasting, they commended them to Yahweh, in whom they had believed. And after they had passed through Pisidia, they came to Pamphylia. Now, when they had preached the word in Perga, they went down to Attalia. From there, they sailed to Antioch, where they had been commended to the grace of Elohim for the work which they had completed. Now, when they had come and gathered the church together, they reported to all that Elohim had done with them, and that he had opened the door of faith to the Gentiles. So they stayed there a long time with the disciples. I just wanted to read that so that we could lead in a little bit to Paul. Because as we read, we're going to see that the Sabbath day was still in effect. See, I can't, for the life of me, see how the Sabbath day, if they kept observing the Sabbath day on the proper day, how did we get so far off track?
I believe, Elder, one of the key reasons for that is this, is because, let's look at the whole situation. We understand this. We understand that Yah chose a people.
Yes.
And I think that part of the problem is that we don't take the seriousness of Yah and his decisions. I think that we believe that the Father changes his mind.
Like we do.
Absolutely. And he's not serious. And that he does not stand on his decision making. The reason why I say that, and what I'm really getting to, is this. Most people do not understand the severity, nor do they understand the importance of Yah establishing a people for himself.
No.
The Father established Israel as his chosen.
Yes, he
He
did.
established Israel as his nation of priests.
Yes, he did.
He entrusted Israel with his words and his laws and his rules.
Yes, he did.
He entrusted them to the point whereas he wanted the entire world to see this light and establish Israel as that light, to be that light to the world. Now, therefore, whenever the word of Yah was to be given, it was to be given by the people that he chose.
That's right.
Because those are his teachers.
That's right, his spokesman.
So he established Israel as his teachers, the teachers of his word.
Yes, he did.
Now, the rest of the world had to become, and were at that point in time, and even now, students of the Father and students of his word.
That's right.
So, when the Father poured out his Spirit on the Gentiles, Israel was the teacher. The rest of the world, the Gentiles, had to receive the word from Israel.
That's right.
So we have Israel being established as the teachers. We have the world, the Gentiles, the other nations, established as the students. When that order, and since that order has been established, when that order becomes out of context, and when people throw it out of context, when we have people who proclaim to be the students becoming or attempting to become the teachers, and the people who are proclaimed to be the teachers become the students, we are out of order.
Yes, we are.
So the reason why we have a lot of misconceptions, a lot of misnomers, a lot of misinformation is because we have other people teaching Israel what they're supposed to be teaching them.
That's right.
That's part of the problem. That's out of order. When you are out of order, you cannot help but what? Establish chaos.
Chaos. That's right.
And if so, my feeling of this also, Elder, is this. The proof is in the pudding. Look around you. Look at the world today. Why is the world so confused? Because of what I just said. That's my proof that the teachers today are the students, and the students today are the teachers.
That's
That is why there is confusion. That is why there is masses and masses of opinions. That is why there is much traditions being taught, because we have people who are not given the word, teaching the word, and we have the people who had the word and still have the word, but don't know they have the word, don't know they have the blessing,
That's right.
don't know who they are. They are the students sitting back and listening to other people teaching them. That's
right.
the problem.
Yes.
That's why we have all of this chaos. That's why there's so much confusion, because we're out of order.
Yes,
we're out of Yah's order.
Yes.
And whenever we get out of Yah's order, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
And these are the kinds of things that happen. That's why.
Yeah.
That's my answer to that question.
Yes. Hey, and you're absolutely right. Because how can you take a people, subject them to what we've been subjected to, and still the Father give them the insight? See, because what did he say? He put the word in our mouth and it would not leave.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
And that's evident.
And Elder, might I add this? It has nothing to do with going to school.
No.
It has nothing to do with being educated by a man.
No.
It has nothing to do with it.
No.
Absolutely nothing.
No,
I don't ever recount any one disciple or any one prophet going to school, going to cemetery school.
No.
Or what they call seminary school.
No.
I don't ever recall one.
No.
If
Only,
anyone out there know one or know anything about one, please let me know. But I don't ever recall that.
No. The only one that was even trained anywhere near that was Paul.
I mean, that was within the what? That was within Israel.
That's right. That I was just going to say. Israel trained him.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
So
the Pharisees.
Right. And that was the order. That's still the order. I've always said that the Father's headquarters was moved. Huh?
His headquarters was moved.
Yeah. Where he placed his name.
Absolutely.
He placed his name in Jerusalem.
Absolutely.
People say his name now is in Rome. Oh.
Ooh.
Isn't that where the Holy Seed?
I won't touch that one.
No, wait a minute. Isn't that where the Holy Seed is?
I won't touch
so
that
to
one.
speak?
I won't touch that one.
Oh, okay.
I think a man said that.
Yeah. Hey.
Paul sure didn't say that.
No, he didn't. But we think the Holy Seed is there.
Yeah, we think it. See, that's because we allow other people to dictate that to us.
That's right.
We allow other people to teach us.
That's right.
Because it was never given to them to teach us.
No.
It's so simple. People, they're going to have to wake up quick soon.
Wasn't Peter the first bishop in Rome? Didn't they say Peter was? Wasn't Peter the first one to bring the Gentile in?
Yes, he was. Absolutely.
Wasn't Shimon Kephar, wasn't he an Israelite?
Simon Peter, yes, he was. Yes, he was. Just like Shaul.
Right. He was a Benjamite, in case you don't know.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And he wasn't short.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to jump on that.
Yeah.
You want to jump on that?
Oh, hey, I was, let's go to the 16th chapter of Acts.
16?
Yeah, let's start at verse 11.
Okay.
It says, therefore, sailing from Taurus, we ran a straight course to Samothrace, and the next day came to Neapolis, and from there to Philippi, which is the foremost city of that part of Macedonia, a colony. And we stayed in that city for some days. And on the Sabbath day, what it say? On the Sabbath day, we went out of the city to the riverside where prayer was customarily made. And we sat down and spoke to the women who met there. Huh? Notice that. It said the women that met there. Now, that kind of corresponds to today, because when you see who's sitting in the churches today, who's there?
Elder, there's something very interesting here. You just read here where it said, and on the Sabbath day.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, now. I'm wondering, does this Sabbath day, would this Sabbath day be our Saturday, or would it be our Sunday then?
No. It's our Sabbath day. It
Okay.
never changed.
Okay.
See,
Okay, and the reason why I say that, Elder, is because we know that it just says simply Sabbath here.
Right.
It doesn't say Saturday or it doesn't say Sunday.
right.
Now, if I'm, if I'm thinking, well, maybe this is Sunday, maybe this is our Sunday now. How, I mean, just in reading this, and I didn't know you were going here, but is there something about this that might let us know something about the fact that maybe this was not a Sunday and it was a Saturday?
Nothing really other.
Well, here's what I'm getting at. This is the book of Acts, correct?
Right.
Okay. If this is the book of Acts, the events in the book of Acts, was this pre-Yeshua's death or was it post-Yeshua's death?
It was post Yeshua.
So this means that this was all after his death, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Keep that in mind. Now it says 13, which you just read, and on the Sabbath day,
Yeah.
we went out of the city to the riverside,
Yes.
where prayer was customarily made.
Right.
Okay, now, so if it was made customarily speaking, and as a custom, we what? Observe the Shabbat on the seventh day,
That's right.
then that would tend
To let
to let me know that this was perhaps done after Yeshua's death,
Yes.
not before, done on the seventh day
That's right.
and not the first day.
That's right.
And I just wanted to touch on that because that was, that's something that kind of stood out for a little bit, for a minute.
Right. But the thing is, we knew and we still know that Shaul, whom you call Paul, he observed all things that were in the law of Moshe, right?
Absolutely.
And this is in the law of Moshe.
Absolutely.
The Sabbath day doesn't change. We read it, the 20th chapter of Exodus.
We surely did read it. I mean, it's in this book. I mean, my book says Bible. In fact, I believe we got the same Bible.
Yes, it
I
does.
got the same Bible. Mine is brown and yours is black.
Yeah, but
I believe it's the same.
yeah, but it didn't change. So this was before the change was made.
Absolutely.
So it had to be the seventh day, not the first. So where do they get the idea today
Absolutely.
that he observes anything other than that?
So I would think that that Christians today should look into this and try to key in on this Sabbath day and when that Sabbath day is, and that should be their Sabbath day because this is, again, post Yeshua's death.
That's right. I don't think they can. The pastor won't let them. They'll make the pastor mad.
I've heard that one before, too.
That pastor going to get mad if they go up there to ask him.
I think we need to really concern ourselves with education. We need to concern ourselves with even educating ourselves.
That's correct.
We're going to have to start seeking knowledge and do exactly what Scripture says. Hey, seek the Father daily.
That's right.
Because if you seek Him daily, and you look under every stone, you turn over every table and chair and look under every rock and go into every crevice, you'll find the Word. The Word will be there for you.
Yeah.
The Word is out there.
Yeah. But let's turn to 17 Acts.
Okay.
Let's start at verse 1.
17:1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now when they had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonius, they came to Thessalonica, where there was a synagogue of the Jews. Listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
It says, then Paul, as his custom was, went into them, and for 3 Sabbaths reasoned with them from the Scriptures, explaining and demonstrating that Christ, or Hamashiach, had to suffer and raise again from the dead, and saying, this Yahshua whom I preach to you is Hamashiach. And some of them were persuaded, and a great multitude of the devoted Greeks, and not a few of the leading women, joined Paul and Silas. Now, what we want to key in on is, as his custom was,
Custom.
went into them, and for 3 Sabbaths, meaning 3 Sabbath days, he went to them as it was his custom to go
That's 3
in
weeks.
on the Sabbath.
That's 3 weeks,
right?
correct?
3 Sabbath, 7 days passed. On the 7th day, he went in for 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
Now, can you imagine that? Huh?
That's interesting.
So what it don't say the first day. It says 3 Sabbaths.
Right. 3 Sabbaths.
Huh?
That's right. That's right.
So where do they get Paul on Sunday?
Man's imagination.